I just got out of bed, if you couldn't tell. Anyway, I'm gonna do 50 Shades today, and it's my goal to keep this be under 15 minutes for 2 chapters. We're gonna start with chapter 6. For those of you just joining us, Anna and Christian had a kiss in the elevator, and it was bananas. And now he is taking her home from said kiss because they kissed in an elevator. And listening to music, listening to opera, and then he says, my taste is eclectic in music because, of course, you can't be a fucking special-ass bastard if you don't have an eclectic taste in music. He goes, I like everything from Thomas Tallis to Kings of Leon, and my first thought was, fucking, you like Sex on Fire. Because that's the tone of this mood. Sure enough, right here, Sex on Fire. I had to circle that shit. Actually, I squared it. I had to square that shit, so you'd know. Anyway, the car ride's totally boring. I friggin' get there, and Elliot and Kate are looking all sexed up, and when they leave, Elliot gives her this, like, Gone with the Wind type kiss. And anyway, Christian's like, I'm gonna take you back to my place. And I really want to get to chapter 7, because chapter 7 is the one I need to focus on, because nothing happens in chapter 6, except he picks her up and takes her in a fucking, my IM's going off, takes her in a helicopter ride to Seattle, and they live in Portland. They go from Portland to Seattle, and, oh my god! Anyway, when they get there, at the end of chapter 6, he asks her to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and she asks, what does that mean? And he goes, it means you can't disclose anything about me. It's non-disclosure, girl. Let's be smart here, if you can manage that. So there's chapter 6 in 1:30. And here we go. Someone posted a comment about this saying that chapter 7 was gonna blow my mind. And this is it. This is the chapter where, like, stuff gets real, and I'm just like, wow. Sorry, I got an email. Anyway, so at the end of chapter 6, like the very end of chapter 6, he says, I want to show you my playroom after she signed the non-disclosure agreement, without reading it, by the way. For anyone who's ever signed a contract ever, bad idea. Worst idea ever. You always read everything, because there might just be some, like, hidden clause in there that says, I agree to sign away my left arm. Which is, like, not smart. Anyway, he opens the door, and it is, like, first of all, his apartment is, or wherever he lives, his penthouse, or wherever he lives is huge, and this penthouse is, like, whatever, is huge, and this playroom is massive. There is one of those, I don't know what the large, massive X's on the walls are, the suspender things, I don't know what they're called. There's an iron grid suspended from the ceiling. This is like a medieval torture chamber, not a playroom. Ropes, chains, glittering shackles, ornately carved poles, like spinders from a banister, hang from, like, curtain rods across the wall. I don't know what that... Oh. And from them swing a startling assortment of paddles, whips, riding crops, and funny-looking leathery implements. There's a bunch of drawers with crap in them. There's a padded bench. There's a rack that has a ton of canes on it. A weird table with chairs. And there's a massive bed that has a canopy, and there's no bedding on it. There's just red leather and red satin cushions piled at one end. And there's, like, cuffs and chains and floggers and whips and cuffs and restraints and harnesses. And finally, she is probably standing there in shock for, like, 15 minutes. Because finally, Christian has, like, say something. What do you want her to say? You acted all, like, weirdly romantic. Then you started talking about paperwork and brought her to your playroom within, like, 3 days of meeting her. I'm surprised this person hasn't, like, melted. And she finally starts asking him questions, like, who do you do this to? And he finally starts explaining that he's a dominant, which is the stupidest either, because she mistakes him for being a sadist, which, given that it's Christian Grey and not a normal Kingster, I'm inclined to agree he's probably a sadist. And she asks, what does that mean? He goes, it means I want you to willingly surrender yourself to me in all things. And let me just say that it's not what every dominant wants. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the kink world, that's not how it is. And I'm not really involved in the kink world, but I have people who are, and they even would say that this is fucking ridiculous. This is crazy. But anyway, and she asks, naturally, why the hell would I do that? Not that. She goes, why would I do that? And he says, to please me. Okay. I'm having a moment here. And so she's like, why? And then he asks, I have rules and I want you to comply with them. And then, of course, she asks about the rooms, like, what does this come into the equation? He says, it's part of the incentive package, both reward and punishment. It's about gaining your trust and your respect. I'm like, whatever. The more you submit, the greater my joy. It's a very simple equation. My eye is twitching. And she asks again, what do I get out of this? And he says, me. No, you don't. You get the privilege of being emotionally abused by him. Anyway, he says, let's go back downstairs where I can concentrate. It's distracting to have you in the playroom. And she's like freaking out. And he goes, I'm not going to hurt you. And she says, I know he speaks the truth. How do you know? How do you know? This guy's a total psychopath. And he goes to another room, and he shows her a big, big room that's all white and has, you know, furniture and walls, thankfully. She has to specify that there's walls in a room. Woohoo! And he tells her it's going to be your room. And then he clarifies, I don't want you to move in here full-time, just Friday through Sunday, and we have to talk about and negotiate that. And she's like, I'll sleep here, not with you. And he says, no, I told you, I don't sleep with anyone, except when you're stupefied with drink. I think he's referring to the hotel night. But anyway, there's another point in time where, back in chapter 6, where she asks, does this mean you're going to make love to me after signing the non-disclosure agreement? He goes, no, I don't make love. I fuck. Hard. What? Anyway, going back to where we were, he takes her downstairs, and he's like, you need to eat something, because you're, like, a little woozy. And she has, and she asks about more paperwork. And he goes, I need to know your limits, and you need to know mine. Apparently, he doesn't have any limits, especially where stalking and boundaries are concerned. So I would just, like, be like, the hell with your limits, you ass. Don't even with me right now. This is ridiculous. I mean, he has demonstrated that he has no personal respect for her by, like, sending stuff and showing up with her and tracing her cell phone and replacing her clothes. So he has zero respect for her, and now he's like, you need to know my limits. Fuck off, you bastard! Go away! Go away! Go away! And she asks him reasonably so, if I don't want to do any of this, we won't have any kind of relationship. He goes, no. This is the only relationship I'm interested in. And he starts trying to get her to eat, and she doesn't want to eat because she's in shock and she's not hungry, and he keeps insisting, you need to eat, you have to eat. And he says that he's had 15 women in this kind of agreement, which I think is rather a lot. Whatever. And he admits that he wants her, but is whatever. And he yells at her, he's like, eat something, and she says, the one thing that I love, and she goes, no, I haven't signed anything yet, so I think I'll hang on to my free will for a bit longer, if that's okay with you. Good going for you. And she starts, asking questions like, are you gonna hurt me? And he says, physically, when I punish you for disobeying me, it will be painful. And the last question she gets to ask him is, have you ever been beaten? He says, yes, and I'm just like, token abusive childhood, but whatever, I'm not gonna go into that. So they go on to the rules, and I'm actually going to read the rules verbatim to you from the book. Rules, and their subcategory. Subcategory 1, obedience. The submissive will obey any instruction given by the dominant immediately without hesitation or reservation in an expeditious manner. Ooh. The submissive will agree to any sexual activity deemed fit and pleasurable by the dominant, excepting those activities that are outlined in hard limits, Appendix 2. She will do so eagerly without hesitation. Oh, okay, so apparently her wants don't factor into this. Okay. Sleep. The submissive will ensure she achieves a minimum of 7 hours sleep a night when she is not with the dominant. I find that reasonable. Food. The submissive will eat regularly to maintain her health and well-being from a prescribed list of foods, Appendix 4. The submissive will not snack between meals, with the exception of fruit. What the fuck? I know people, get on me for cursing, and I just have to say, fuck you, because I can't even with this right now. Food. So basically, if I am in this relationship, I will only eat 3 meals a day from a list of approved foods, and if my friends invite me out for ice cream, I have to go, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Or, my parents offer me some chips when I'm visiting. No, I can't do that. Go to a friend's house. Hey, would you like some pretzels? No, I can't have that. Oh my gosh, this is not normal, I don't think. Especially if you're introducing someone who's, new to the kink world. I imagine that there's people who, have a thing for this, but they probably make it known. Clothes. During the term, capital T, term, the submissive will wear clothing only approved by the dominant. The dominant will provide a clothing budget for the submissive, which the submissive shall utilize. The dominant shall accompany the submissive to purchase clothing on an ad hoc basis. If the dominant so requires, the submissive shall wear clothing during the term any adornments the dominant shall require, in the presence of the dominant and at any other time the dominant seems fit. What if he wants her to wear, like, pink bunny ears to work? I'm lucky enough at my job where my coworkers would just think I was funny, but I imagine at some jobs they'd probably be like, you're weird. You need to leave now. That's affecting her. Whatever. Exercise. The dominant shall provide the submissive with a personal trainer 4 times a week in hour-long sessions at times to be mutually agreed between the personal trainer and the submissive. The personal trainer will report to the dominant on the submissive progress. I actually don't mind that one because few people realize how important it is to exercise on a regular basis, and a personal trainer really makes sure that you're performing to your capabilities. I would like that. This one I had the problem with. Personal beauty and hygiene. No, personal hygiene and beauty. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. The submissive will keep herself clean and shaved and or waxed at all times. The submissive will visit a beauty salon of the dominant's choosing at times to be decided by the dominant and undergo whatever treatment the dominant sees fit. Everyone has a preference. I'm going to talk, like, real talk for a minute here. Every person has a preference for pubic hair. Some people like it natural, some people like it shaved, some people like it waxed, some people like it trimmed, some people like that weird pattern crap going on. And for men, too. This is not just for women. And I'm sorry, but requiring someone else's genitals to be kept in a certain way is ridiculous. Unless, like I said, this happens to be that other person's personal kink, in which case you are able and willing to do so, that just, this is fucked up. And like I said, this is like the 3rd day he's known her. He's like, yeah, I want you to be hardwood floors. Personal safety. The submissive will not drink to excess, smoke, take recreational drugs, or put herself in any unnecessary danger. I agree with the recreational drugs, but if you're a smoker, you should be able to smoke if you want to. And drinking to excess, I also agree with because that's dangerous. Personal qualities. The submissive will not enter into any sexual relationship with anyone other than the dominant. The submissive will conduct herself in a respectful and modest manner at all times. She must recognize that her behavior is a direct reflection of the dominant. She shall be held accountable for any misdeeds, wrongdoings, and misbehavior committed when not in the presence of the dominant. Failure to comply with any of the above will result in immediate punishment, the nature of which shall be determined by the dominant. I get the other sexual relationships thing because STDs and all that, and it's good to know what your partner's up to, but it's just this contract is not healthy. I'm moving on. And she's like, and the first thing she says after it is, holy fuck. I agree. And she's like, I'm not sure I feel she's like, I don't feel comfortable accepting money for clothes, and she says the word hoe rattle around in my mind. Honestly, I would totally take money for clothes. Fuck that, I'm going to Chanel. Let's go. And she starts beating him around about... The only thing she seems to be angry about is the exercising. She doesn't want to exercise. She has no problem with being told she needs to wax and shave and pluck, and that she can't snack, and that she can only eat approved foods. And he brings up the limits, and oh my god, I'm getting close to 15 minutes. I'm going to read you the limits. His hard limits. Let's go quickly. He hands her limits, and they are: no acts involving fire play, no acts involving urination or defecation and the products thereof, no acts involving needles, knives, piercing, or blood, no acts involving gynecology, medical instruments, no acts involving children or animals. What the fuck? That's basic. No acts that will leave any permanent marks on the skin, no acts involving breath control, no acts that involve the direct contact of electrical current, whether alternating or direct fire or flames to the body. Most of these are normal limits, and I mean, except I know people are into, like, scat or whatever, but that's not, ugh, to me that's gross, but whatever. And like, ugh. And then finally, at the end of the chapter, she admits, I'm a virgin. He gets all pissed off about it. Well, between talking about yourself all the time and imposing limits on her, you haven't really given her a lot of time to fucking say shit. So, there we go. That's chapter 6 and 7. I'm all riled up. I even stopped taking notes. Like, I used to write notes like, oops, my computer's dying on me. I used to write all kinds of notes like this, like a totally masked up page. This is the last page of chapter. I haven't done anything. I've underlined like 2 things. I'm just so like, wow. Why do people find this book like sexy? This is really unhealthy, unattractive, and ridiculous. I don't really think any woman would like to have so little control in her life. But anyway, I will do chapters 8 and 9 at some undetermined point in the future. That's it for now. It's under 15 minutes. Success! I did 2 chapters under 15 minutes. I'm excited about life. I gotta go cook for my friends. I'm having a cooking party. And I gotta go do my hair because reasons. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.